So when I was in 3rd grade, this thing called FNaF suddenly blew up and we were all insanely addicted to it. There was just something about its gameplay design combined with its cryptic story that made it very appealing, and we would spend all recess talking about FNaF, watching theory videos, and begging those who were blessed enough to have FNaF 1 on their iPhone 4 to let us play it. It was akin to a plague as pretty much every elementary schooler was a fan of FNaF, and in contrast, pretty much every high schooler couldn't stand it. As such, they would tend to troll us and just generally play around with our signature Russian child's short temper in any way they could just to get a reaction out of us. One day, an 11th grader walked into our class and proudly exclaimed, FNaF sucks. We were absolutely livid. This wasn't the first time high schoolers tried to humiliate and trigger us, and usually we just scream and shit our pants for a few minutes before getting distracted, but this time it was different. We seemed to have hit our limit and our rage could not be contained any longer. This was the last straw and we had to fight back. So we spent the rest of the week visiting nearby classes and asking people there to join our cause. Finally, we managed to assemble an army of kids from 1st, 2nd, and 3rd grades, which amounted to about 20 people. And so, armed with slingshots, water guns, and little rubber bouncy balls, and weaving a beautiful flag which consisted of a bunch of pencils taped together with a piece of paper with FNaF crudely drawn on it with a pink Sharpie, we marched to the 11th grade class. 11th graders in Russia spend most of their school time preparing for the upcoming exams, and for that they require maximum comfort level. Because of this, 11th grade classes tend to gradually turn into communal apartments. One of the ways this manifests itself is with them locking the door to class so nobody could just come in unannounced and ruin their concentration? Personal space? Either way, the door was locked and that was a big problem that we needed to solve. Now, the leader of our army thing, the king of our crusade if you will, was a guy from my class named Yarek who started out in 1st grade as a top student and teacher pet, however over the years has deteriorated into a huge troublemaker and epic meme prankster. He went so far in fact that he was expelled from the school not long after this, and he would be remembered by his peers as the Russian Heisenberg. So Yarek told us to hide behind the corner as he hid behind the door and began knocking intensely. Finally, someone opened the door so that no one was around and closed it again. Yarek knocked again, the door opened and closed again, and the cycle continued for quite some time until eventually, instead of a person peeking out, a hand slowly emerged from the door hole. And then it reached for behind the door, grabbed Yarek, pulled him inside the class, and shut the door again. We immediately panicked and threw ourselves at the door. It quickly broke down and a sea of little shits screaming "Ree!" stormed the 11th grade class. The battle had begun. And the tides quickly began to turn as we realized that, even though we outnumbered them, one high schooler was capable of taking on 3 of us, so yeah, we were kinda fucked. My friend Boris, who was fighting alongside me, proceeded to run full speed into a high schooler thinking he could knock him down. Instead, the guy caught him in air, spun him 180 degrees, and threw him into a wall on the opposite side of class. Needless to say, I have never witnessed anything like this before, and I got overwhelmed by emotion so much that I got into anime protagonist mode and Naruto ran to the high schooler with the typical edgy "It is my destiny to destroy you" attitude. And at that moment, another high schooler casually grabbed me and just tossed me away to the other side of the room, much like his friend did to Boris. Except, I did not hit a wall. I actually threw straight into the classroom's closet. Yes, they had a closet, don't ask. I was accompanied by a few other kids who I presume ended up there for similar reasons, but were hesitant to leave since staying in the closet would be safer than running to the exit for all this mess. But then, a high schooler noticed us, and instead of attacking us or anything, he simply turned off the lights, shut the door, and locked it. Meaning that we were now trapped inside of a small, dark closet like prisoners of war, crying while listening to the sounds of our fellow comrades being slaughtered on the battlefield. Eventually, recess ended and everyone who didn't retreat in shame slowly got up and went back to class. Now, we expected to be released from our prison, but that did not happen. Instead, the high schoolers just packed their stuff and left early without letting us out? Yeah, we ended up staying in the closet for about an hour until the janitor heard us crying and let us out. Needless to say, our parents were extremely worried and quite upset, and later reported the event to school staff, who simply shrugged it off as kids having fun and that, oh, it was our fault anyway because we asked for it. So technically nothing happened afterwards. However, since that day, high schoolers would stop coming into our class, so we considered the Crusade a victory. FNaF would continue to be a big part of our culture for the remainder of the year, and unfortunately I had to move to a different city, so I don't know how much longer the FNaF craze continued, but I suspect it didn't last that long, since soon after the summer break ended, Undertale came out and became the next big thing, so I assume it naturally replaced FNaF for those who remained in that school. And that's pretty much where the story ends. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm trying to experiment with different types of content to see what sticks, and maybe upload more frequently than twice a year. So please subscribe and give this video a thumbs up if you'd like to hear more crazy stories from my life. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.
Hi, it's the editor, Loomhigh here. If you enjoyed this video, then make sure to leave a like and subscribe to my good friend Flor Geneva for me. And if you really enjoyed the editing of this video, also be sure to check out my own channel, youtube.com/Loomhigh.